content, what you sent me.
Yeah.
And I was able to put it in my in everything, all the chats and everything else. So hello.
Hey everyone. Let's get it started. Wake up, wake up, wake up. If y'all ain't up by now, it's 8 a.m. Eastern time at least.
Yes, Eastern it is.
Let's get it. Welcome to Morning with Movers. We have Clifford Starks in the building, and we have Yuriy Margolin from Moving Sales Professionals in the building.
Hello.
Country Phil, I guess, couldn't be with us this morning, but we're gonna catch up with that man later. So how's everybody been doing?
Man, been doing great. Enjoying the journey. Ups and downs in the moving company. Definitely been an interesting season.
Tell us about that. What's been going on?
Yeah, there's highs and lows, and just figuring out how to keep things moving during the weird summer. It's been a weird summer.
It definitely
and I noticed it for everybody too. Yeah.
It's the same across the board, I think. I mean, I talk to a lot of movers, so I get to hear everybody's point from all parts of the country. So it's I think, well, I have hope that my projection is correct. And my projection, because the current situation very much reminds me of what happened that right before that crazy COVID fall where we all made money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that this is exactly what we're seeing, because if it is, we're all going to be fine. And if it's not, there's going to be a lot of people going out of business. It's really one way or another, because what happened that one COVID summer, if you guys remember, it was very mild. I wouldn't say that it was slow, but it was definitely quieter than usual. Right. So when it was quieter than usual.
I think we had the best year ever when
it was milder, but then the time of the year that we're used to it slowing down, especially here on the East Coast, it actually picked up. Our October that year was better than our July. It was insane. Like we saw it. Crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The one crazy year, right? So like we had the fall time, like October, November, it was crazy. Like I think during those months, I think we almost broke 1 million twice for sales in a month during that fall, which was like, wow, like it never happens this time of year, right? Mm-hmm. And then the only really slow month was February. That was it, and then it picked up again.
Yeah, it was definitely a misleading year for sure, because when we had that amazing December, we're like, oh shit, December, we did 60,000 in December. What the? Ain't it Christmas? Right, and then the next December, we're like, oh my God, where is the money?
This is what, right. So but the thing is this, for those of us that have been in the industry for a while, for those of us for whom that was not the first year, I think we recognized it as a fluke. Mm-hmm. And I think as a result, we still put a little bit of money away after the summer, expecting it to go back, and it did. And it dropped even lower than it did prior to COVID. It was a very, that was last year. So last year, fall and winter, they were bad, like really bad. And so my thought is this, like currently the way the summer is, it has the same feeling to it as that one summer. So my hope is that it's a similar situation. With COVID year, people were waiting for the restrictions to be eased before they were going to move, right? And then at some point they just said, screw it, we're going to move anyway, forget about COVID, we need to move, we're going to do it, right? And then that's why I'm thinking this is similar, because I'm thinking people are doing the same thing with the current interest rates. They're waiting for the interest rates to go down. They're waiting for the market to get better. They're waiting for prices to go down on certain things, etc. Right? They're waiting, but I mean, like I said, I'm not a guru, and I'm not somebody that can see the future. But it feels similar, It has a similar feeling to it. So I'm hoping that's what happens is people are going to go, you know what? Screw it. let's move, let's buy anyway. And then if the interest rates go down, we'll just refinance.
True.
And if that happens, we're in for a good fall and winter again. But of course, we won't know this. Well, trust me, if it happens, we're all going to talk about this in a couple of months. And you guys are gonna say, Yuriy, you were wrong, or you're gonna say, Yuriy, you were right. So I'm hoping this makes me sound like a genius, because then like all these people are gonna subscribe to my podcast and stuff like that. So it's gonna be awesome. But and then hopefully nobody leaves if it's the other way around.
It's like Yuriy was the guru. Sign up, subscribe. He got the gems.
He predicted it. Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. I'm not, like I don't bet on things, and if I go to a casino, I always come with a X amount of dollars that I'm fully expecting to lose. No, seriously, because it's like, look, because
that's a good way to gamble personally.
Because then if you win, it's a bonus, right?
Yes.
And if you don't win, you're like, well, I didn't win, but I didn't come here to win. I came to play, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day,
because I would have thought like he was going to say, I came here to lose, but
no, you never come to lose. Look, I'm a sports guy, right? So I play hockey, so I never come to lose. I always want to win. I always do. But at the same time, it's like anything that I'm doing at this point. It's me opening my company. To me, it's about calculated risk, right? Because all these people, there's no risk at all. For you, maybe there isn't. But the thing, like, it's kind of weird. So I got these messages. I don't know if you guys got this too, but I got these messages if you're signed up for Gary Vee and what have you. So I got these messages from Gary Vee about a week or maybe two ago, right? So I got these messages from him. And because I was signed up for Gary Vee Friends and all that other stuff, right? So I got some messages, and like, I think it ended up being a bot that was posing like as a Gary Vee. So I don't think it was the real thing. I really don't, because it's like I was in this Google chat with the guy that was, I guess, Gary, although I have no clue, obviously. I have no way to prove if it was him or not. But anyway, it was this chat, right, that I was part of. And that he was just talking to me. And basically this guy, he sent me videos about crypto and about Bitcoin and about, the, what's that thing? Blockchain and all that other fun stuff, right? And he was really pushing me to, go into it, right? He was really pushing for me to go into it and to spend. And I'm like, no, the whole reason I was able to put my business and have a business in general, because look, I came to this country as an immigrant. I'm a first generation, right? So I come from nothing. I come from having to, have help from the government, at least the first few years of my life in US. I was 11 years old when I came here, right? So having that, I know what it's like to not have anything, like I know what it's like when kids in school are talking about brand name clothes. Meanwhile, I got stuff from Goodwill or similar, so it's like I have that. I come from that, it's like I don't come from being rich, I don't come from any of that stuff. So anything that I have, I got myself. I paid off my goal was to pay off my college loans by the time I was 40. I did it. I paid them off when I was 38. I owe nothing, to the government for my education. And I didn't even use my education until 10 years after I was out of college when I opened my company. There were certain things that came useful at that point. But honestly, I tell you, you can definitely own a business. You can definitely be successful without having a college degree today. I can tell you that 100%.
Oh yeah. You
based on my life experience, I can tell you, you do not need a college degree to be successful in life. It's about having common sense, logic, and just being able to build things. I say this a lot, and people that know me have heard me say this before. This company started as a joke. Okay, it started as a joke. I had, at one particular time, I was doing booking and selling for 3 different moving companies. I was doing really well, but I was doing it for 3 different moving companies. And one of the owners of those companies, he basically said to me, of course it was a joke, but he said to me, hey, Yuriy, you can sell for 10 moving companies at the same time. You'll make a killing. And we laughed about it. We hung up. And then afterwards, I sat down and I'm like, well, I know I can't sell for 10 moving companies at the same time. But if I hired some people, right? And then the wheels started turning, right? The wheels started turning, and I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I avoid having to pay for A? How do I avoid having to pay for B? How do I not have this expense, right? How do I avoid those things? And before you know it, here, lo and behold, he's moving sales professionals. I wasn't even planning to open till like January, February of 2019. But then in 2018, right around October time, somebody that I used to work with for one of the moving companies called me, and he was looking for salespeople. And before you know it, I had my first client. Then before you know it, I had our first office, which we're still in. You know, all these years later, we're still in the same space. I mean, our space grown bigger. We used to have one room. Now we have 3 rooms from when we used to have. But it's like, yeah, it was one thing at a time. We started, I had a partner at the time when I opened the company. So I put in $5,000. He put in $5,000. A year later, he decided that he didn't want to do this. So he walked away. So it was just me, which was honestly the greatest thing that could have possibly happened. Me just being the sole person, the sole owner. I mean, it was always my name on things anyway. So he wasn't really in there as an owner, even though he technically was. But once he walked away, it just freed me up because honestly, he did not have the work ethic. So to me, guys, if you're looking to partner up with somebody to run a moving company or any kind of business, the best thing is if you can go at it alone, because you're your own boss and you know what you need to do to be successful. You're going to drive yourself. You know, you have your own, so you will only go as far as your own personal drive will take you, right? But when you're working with somebody else, when you got partners, those partners need to have the same motivation as you, the same drive as you, the same goals and ways to achieve those goals as you. Because for that first year when we opened, I was in this office 12, sometimes 14 hours a day. You know? Yeah. Meanwhile, my partner, 12, 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock, he'd get up from his seat and say, okay, I've done all my calls. I'm going home. I got nothing to do. And I'm going, what do you mean you got nothing to do? You know, go Google, you know, we're here in Virginia, Maryland, DC area. Go Google all the moving companies in the area. Call them, set up meetings for us to go visit them. Have them come and visit us. Let's do all this. Come on. And he'd go, yeah, you're right. And he would not do anything.
Yeah.
During the whole first year, he brought one client into this company. That one client was his brother's company, which would have went with us anyway. You know what I mean? It's not, he didn't really have to sell them much. He just says, oh, we're both doing booking. Come to us. You know, that was literally the whole conversation had to be. Meanwhile, I brought in like 7 companies the first year. And after he left, within the next like 2-3 months, and his brother's company left with him, by the way. They did not resign or anything. And, you know, in the next 2 to 3 months, I signed up like 5 more companies myself. So it's that's what I'm talking about. You need to have, if you have a partner or partners, you need to make sure that people that you partner up with don't just talk, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to do that. That they're people of action, people that will actually put their time, put their money, put their efforts on the line to make it work. Because,
I get what you're saying.
Because that was my problem there. It's like I felt like I was doing all the work, but I was only getting half the credit, you know?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I was going to say that going back to what you were saying about the college situation, I feel like with anything, you know, it may not necessarily be college, but with anything, you want to be in, I guess, a networking environment or an environment where people are kind of doing what you're doing in a sense, or where you want to be, so that basically you are kind of like motivated. So like when all these events came about, when 2016, I think I went to my first, 2016, 17, I went to my first event with Louis Mazzaro when he had Moving Sales Academy or something like that going on. Being in an event where it was nothing but movers and stuff like that, I tell you, like, that was motivation. I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of people doing what I'm doing, going through the same struggles or maybe different struggles similar to what I'm doing. I can learn, So same thing for college, where college, is an expensive direction to go in to get that experience. But if you could be in a self-motivating area or a network of people that want to do something similar to what you want to do, I tell you, it can only push you forward. And I think that's why some people do go to college, because they're like, oh, well, hey, you're in college for business? Oh, yeah, I want to do business too. We may have two separate businesses, but we could feed off each other. And I think that's kind of one of the things that's important as well. As far as the business partner thing goes, I think when I started my company or whatever the case is as well, I had my friends and girlfriend at the time or so like that all started with me. And I was like, oh, well, you know what? I want to make this a partnership. I don't want to be your boss. I don't want to sign your checks. Like that I don't want to, like, we starting this together. I don't want to belittle you. So, we sitting here in the room trying to game plan. Hey, what's the name? What's the name of the company? Oh, well, we should do a hybrid name, your name and my name. Me and my cousin was talking, and they were just like, no, you should just name it after you. I was like, name it after me, but that means that I'm going to be the dominant one. And, so I was like, all right, if that's the direction you want to go in. So we went in that direction. And then basically, even then it was just like, hey, I want to treat it like a partnership, And I could see that I didn't know anything about moving at all. I only knew moving companies existed in movies. I didn't know where the hell they were in life, but I knew that they existed somewhere. So when I started it, I was working hard doing so much research, trying to figure out each question that I had. Google this, Google that, Google this. And my cousin would just be in the room playing his video game. And I'm like, cousin, we got to grow this business. Like, why are you playing your game? I get it's after hours, but we only have 2 jobs this week. What are you doing? Like, if we're going to grow this thing, he's like, it's after hours. I just want to chill. I want to play my game. I'm like, this is a business. If we don't do this, and come to realize that, hey, they, like Yuriy said, they don't have the motivation that you have. And then that's why the partnership would never work. Right. And then it ended up being what I originally didn't want it to be, where my name was on each and everybody's check.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's it. That's the bottom line, is that, like I said, if you want things to go and to be successful, you need to deal with like-minded individuals. Either that or just do it yourself, because because the thing is this. And I think this is something that I heard in one of Gary Vee's episodes, actually. And he said specifically, don't have the same expectations for your workers that you have for yourself. It's your business. It's your baby. You're the one that's going to have emotional, physical, financial attachment to this business. You can't expect you're lucky if you have workers that get it. And I do have a couple. Thank God for that. I'm very thankful for that. I honestly am. But if you don't have those type of people, you can't have those expectations, because at the end of the day, whether they're movers or they're salespeople or whatever else, they care about one thing: them. Mm-hmm. Them is number one to them. Their paycheck is number one to them. Their family that they have to feed is number one to them. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. They care about their own thing at the end of the day. If you have people that see the bigger picture and they realize that if they put the time in, it's going to pay out. Like, for example, I say this all the time. As a company, I can only go as far as the people that I have in the seats. And, it may take me longer to grow this to be a bigger company, because I'm very picky about whose butts I have in those seats and what butts I have in those seats. Especially, we went through several metamorphoses in terms of who we have, right? Like, this is my first business, right? I never owned a business prior to moving sales professionals. This is it. This is, like I said, this is my baby, right? And when we did this, when we had that slow year last year, right? I made a rookie businessman mistake, right? And I admit it now. It took me a while to get to the admittance and acceptance phase, right? But I admit it now. My thought was this. I kept about 3 people that were not necessarily the strongest salespeople. They were not on my, they're not in my top 3, top 4, or top 5, but they were not the strongest salespeople. My thought process was, okay, well, if I fire them now, and this was like December, January timeframe, whatever, right? If I fire them now, in 2-3 months, I'm going to have to look for people to put in those spots because the season is going to pick up again. And it's going to be, and I know it's hard to find people. I know, and honestly, I want to be able to onboard companies as quickly as possible when they fit the criteria that we're looking for. I want to be able to get them on board and get them up and running. Dwight, we got you on what, 2-3 days we were up.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to get things up and going very, very quickly here, right? So I was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to hold on to these people. I'm going to pay them the next couple of months, and these people already know what the expectations are, right? And lo and behold, a couple of months later, now 6 months down the road, rather than 3 months down the road, those people don't work here anymore because they were not producing, because they were not doing things the way. Like, I bet on them understanding that they have a job during the slow period because I have a bigger picture for them, but that means that they have to put the work in still, even though it's slower, right? And they didn't do it. And they failed in my expectations for them. Once again, it's about them. It's not about the company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I can tell you, I'm not going to make that mistake again because I took money out of, before this last fall, I had like probably, I don't know, 100K that I had saved up that was sitting there as a safety net. I don't have that anymore.
No, I don't think anybody had that.
I still have that safety net, but it's a heck of a lot smaller. I'm not going to put that on the air, but it's not a lot. Let's put it that way. And
it's been one of those years where our safety net bubble, and I talked to you about Cliff on previous episodes where we were talking about like how what is his name? Profit First guy. And
McCowitz.
Yeah. So we talked about how having a safety net is very important. That's one of the things I coach on as well with a lot of my coaching clients. And this year has been one of those things where that safety net has been dropping, and it's August 3rd right now. And with it being August 3rd and just like not being the summer that most people expected, where they could say, well, hey, let me put this money away so that
you're not able to rebuild that safety net.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been rough.
We're all hoping, right?
Yeah, like at least 5% of what you made, you wanted to at least be able to put away. And it's just like, whoa, what's that? I got bills.
Yeah.
So it's been a sad, sad summer for those. But like you were saying, with regards to sales, it's one of those things where, obviously you have a sort of a different outlook, but at the same token, because your main focus is sales.
Right.
And so you may come at it a little more, I guess, strategic than most companies that are,
I tried to.
Yes. So, like the basic stuff for me, I think is, if we can pull calls, make sure that, hey, we stay on top of these people, see what they said, coach them, recoach them and stuff like that. I think that's really the best thing we can kind of do is just to stay on top of them. If they're still not producing, I guess at that point, I don't know. Have you had any other recommendations?
I mean, look, I think you need to, and for me, it's going through this experience, honestly, that led me to, first of all, I'm not going to make that mistake again. If I see that it's like that I have some lean fat of people that are not putting up the numbers, and it's something that and I need to reevaluate every one of them and figure out if this is something that's has to do with the contract that they're working on, if it has to do with the market, or it has to do with the fact that they're not doing what we're asking, or maybe the skill is just not building like we expected it to, for example, right? Or the knowledge is not building because they're not putting their time into it, right? So you need to, I think one of the major things is to have an honest and objective, and at the same time, I don't know how it would be possible, but at the same time, neutral as much as possible anyway, evaluations, just cold, hard facts. Is the production there? What's the reason why the person is not reaching that production? What are you have to do a thorough evaluation realistically on every single person that you has working for your company. And you got to make same calculated risk. Who is it? Who are you? Who can you replace ultimately? And who you can't. I mean, technically speaking, in business and in life in general, when it comes to work, everyone is replaceable. Be cognizant of that. A lot of us tend to hold on to people for too long, whether it's because of our connections to them prior to running our own business, whether it's because it's family, and generally speaking, you definitely don't want to own the business or run a business with family if you can avoid it. It's just best ways, because then if you have to cut ties at some point, there's not going to be any hard feelings left behind where it's people that you have to see every Christmas or whatever, so that's a good thing in regard to. So
I was gonna say, I had the fun story, like I said, working with my cousin, wherever the case is, and it was a catch-22, because once he started working for me, he was about an hour, and he lived with me. It was like, hey, I need to get hours. If I don't get hours, I can't pay bills. Oh shit, you can't pay bills? That means we can't pay our bills. Oh man.
Right, but it puts you in a situation where you have to have this, like, you're almost, well, first of all, they always say we are responsible for the people that we, get accustomed to us, so to speak, right? We are responsible for them. And we certainly all feel responsible. But at the end of the day, does that mover feel responsible when he's giving away your packing supplies to clients for free because they think that they are going to get a better tip? No, they don't care about you. They care about better tip. And it's your money that they're spending when they're giving that free stuff away. And it's your money that they're not making you when they're giving free stuff away, right? The other thing, when you're a moving company, and I'm sure me and Dwight talked about this before, but overall in the industry, I know it may not be the best policy, but if you see that the job is going to be a lot bigger, or you see that it's a problematic customer, or you see that they're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to, or they're making comments that make you think that maybe they don't have the money, don't unload the frickin' truck before you get paid. Or B, if you did start unloading, leave a couple of things in the truck that are actually worth something. Because the moment you unload, you have no backup plan. You have no leverage of any kind at that point. Because at that point, you unloaded, so the customer can say, get the hell off my property. And you got nothing.
Yeah, but holding people's stuff hostage is not something you want to do.
But it's not hostages. It's you want to get paid for the services provided, right? It's not about hostage. We're not holding your stuff. You sign the contract. You need to pay for the service. We need to pay our guys that are sitting there that were working for you this whole entire time. If you don't pay for the service, we can't pay the guys. It's not a I understand people will say hostage, right? They throw that word around a lot, just like they throw bait and switch around a lot and stuff like that, right? But the thing is this. If you gave me an inventory that has 200 items and we showed up and you have 500 items, you're effectively bait and switching us. We're not bait and switching you. You're bait and switching us because you actually have a lot more stuff and you're expecting to pay the same. And you didn't ask us whether you will pay the same or whether there's going to be a slight increase or whether it's going to double or triple. You didn't bother to tell us. So it's like I think that those situations, they go both ways. We can't quote you accurately on things that we don't know about.
Gotcha. What's your thought on that, Cliff?
I personally agree with that. You want to create win-win situations, but it sounds like you're a real big data guy, Yuriy. So life's in the numbers. Yeah, life's in the numbers. It is. If I want to I want to give 100% and I want others to give me 100%, the ones I'm working with. But the truth of the matter is sometimes the client's not on your side, even a little bit, even a little bit. And it's important to register that in what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you're serving.
Right. And that's one of the reasons I say this to my salespeople too. It's okay not to book certain clients. It's 100% okay. I'll give you an idea. And I'm not going to name any names, but so I'll share something that irks me. So I had a client that signed a contract with us beginning of this week. Signed the contract, paid their startup fee, everything is signed, DocuSign, whatever. We were waiting to get the phones this week. We should have received the phones literally yesterday. We could have started working and booking things for him, right? And then day before yesterday, we get this email about him choosing to go another way and asking for the money that he put out to return it. And I'm like, we've been talking, we've been making this good game, we've been discussing how we're going to do things for you. I've spent my time on making sure that I have time. I put a good salesperson on you that spend time learning and pouring through your information that's available to him online. He spent time going over your website to pull, nuggets of information that he could use to book for you, right? And now you're giving me this, and now you want your money back. So on the one side, part of me wanted to say, no, that's not a deposit, that's an entry fee. It's not refundable. Nowhere in the contract does it say that it is. We had to spend our time. My time is worth money to me. My salesperson spent time going over your stuff that he could have spent booking other jobs and making money for me and for himself, right? That's on one side. But on the other side, I'm thinking, man, no, for my first reaction, I was kind of pissed, obviously, right? But my second, because it's like we spent time, we got this all set up, everything is good, we're ready to go. And then a day before we're supposed to get the phones from you, we get that, right? So I was mad, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? He actually did me a favor. Because if this is what you did, without me actually doing any work with you, and you talked this great game about how we would do things, if you do this like that, pull out like that last second or whatever, without anything, without remorse, without saying, hey, I know I paid you this much, why don't you keep it because, you spend your time on me and whatever. I'm the one that's choosing to do this, even though I have a signed contract, technically speaking. If I wanted to be an asshole, I could have pursued him based on everything that's in there. But once again, my thought was this, you know what? Down the road, he saved me a lot of time and aggravation. It's like one of those clients, you haven't even got the inventory yet, and you haven't even given them the price yet, and they're already yelling at you, or they're already being confrontational, and you haven't even booked their job yet. What do you think it's going to be like on the day of the move when something does not go the way that they like, for one way or another? Same situation. So in that particular case, long story short, I gave the money back, and I'm like, and I said in the message, I said, thank you. You saved me troubles in the long run.
No, it makes sense. I think I had one customer that was that
it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I had one customer that called in, and she was like, yeah, I'm looking to get a quote for I guess her ex-husband or whatever the case is. And I'm like, okay, well, but she was like, oh, I don't want my name on it or anything. Okay, so I got to put your information in the system, and then I got to get some details so I can give you a quote. Let's start off with your first name. Well, do I have to put my name on it? Like, I'm just getting a quote for my ex-husband. Well, technically, I don't want to put his name on it. I'd rather put whoever, and then I got to email you the quote. I can't just email him the quote that you came to request. So she was kind of already being very difficult to begin with. And then
it's going to be one of those situations when the man shows up and all his shit is sitting outside, or at some storage unit or something.
And then she's like, well, he's gonna pay the deposit and he's gonna pay for the estimate or whatever case. I'm just getting the details or whatever case. And I'm just like,
he would steal his credit card. That's what it is.
So I'm just like, so I still need your information so I can send you the quote. You can look it over or email it to him, whatever the case is. Well, I don't feel like giving my information. Okay, yeah. Well, if you would like to have him give us a call, we could probably move forward. But we just had a customer, ironically, who would argue with me left and right that I went over his inventory. I said, hey, sir, you only have 603 cubic feet based of stuff, but supposedly all your stuff took up a whole truck worth of a whole truck. And I know we had a great packer, so it wasn't like the pack was horrible. So, it said that you had 10 boxes. Oh no, I had way more than 10 boxes. Well, sir, why are we even arguing the price right now or what the outcome was if you said you didn't have no touch in it? You said that basically your girlfriend was the one who talked to us.
I love those.
Talk to us about the service. So I don't mean to be rude and say that your girlfriend's a liar. I don't want to come off that way, but somebody lied. So and you signed the estimate. It wasn't your girlfriend who signed the estimate. You signed the estimate. So you should have seen the details of it being off and was able to adjust something. And so it was just one of those things where it's just like, oh, well, you guys, they did this and they did this. Don't I get some time off for this? It's like, sir, you're grasping for straws now. And you signed everything from the beginning to the end. I don't have anything that says your girlfriend had any touch on this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's stuff like that. I really like it when, and I say this straight up when look, when there's an issue with a client, and it's an issue that goes beyond my salesperson handling, I'm going to be their least favorite person at that point, because I'm going to go strictly by the book, by the contract, word for word. So if the contract says no packing, no packing. If the contract says 500 items, 500 items. You got more? It's more money. And I'll be straightforward. Just if there's a going joke in my office. They've heard me have a conversation with one of these confrontational clients, and they heard me go, sir, 50 billion times. Yeah. So there's a going joke about that here. But because at that point, I have no emotion. I have no whatever. I'm going strictly by what's written and if they're saying, well, I assume, sir, we have a contract. It tells you exactly what it is. It doesn't talk about assumptions.
Yeah, and the devil's advocate about that is, and I got 2 of those calls, I think this past week or so, where customers are looking at the inventory and they're like, well, based on inventory, we had all of this stuff, and why wasn't it moved? Why are we paying this much money? And some of those items on that inventory list wasn't moved or whatever the case is. And it's like, okay, now you're like, well, we're not charging you by the item. You have to let them know, hey, we're not charging you by the item. We're charging you based off the volume of your inventory.
Yep.
And a couple of customers didn't get that. They were like, oh, well, I had this, this didn't go, whatever the case is. And I'm like, sir, if it said you had 30 boxes and you had 70 boxes, and then you're wondering why certain other items didn't go, you already lied. And our guys, for one, isn't coming in the house looking at the inventory sheet unless it's long distance. They're not looking at the inventory sheet for item by item and say, hey, let's tag this item, let's tag this item, let's tag this item. Okay, yeah, they're way off. Okay, we can't do that because that alone would take too much damn time on a local move.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, it's basically the same thing I said. Look, yeah, it's not by the inventory, but I'm giving you this as for comparison's sake. You have twice as much stuff. Twice as much stuff, a logical person would assume it's going to take twice as much time.
Logical.
I do want to say something on that though.
Right.
I swear, because I work the claims right now.
Right.
And I swear everyone is logical. They're just trying
when
to
it's
play
about
their
money,
hand.
they are.
Yeah, they are just trying to play their hand. Because and I won't let them. I'll just be like, well, there's this, and I'll listen to them and I'll hear them, I'll see them. But it's almost like the veil drops after the business is done, and they're like, okay, well, thanks for hearing me out. Thanks for listening to me. Because they're BSing. They're trying to win. I get it.
They are.
It's part of the game.
Yeah,
but they're logical.
It is.
They're more logical than they're playing off.
Of course they are, because there's suddenly they find logic in things that are, you go like, well, on one side you're listening to, you're like, yeah, I can see their point, but the other side, I can't believe they pulled that.
So, yeah, no, it's crazy. I had one issue where the customer was just saying like, oh yeah, well, I should get some money back because going around, they were using inappropriate language or whatever the case is. They were, on their phones, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay,
Your move was minimal.
let me do some homework, because when they start pointing out the lead, saying, oh, the lead was doing this, or whatever the case is, I'm like, okay, well, hey, they're still on the job. Like, let's pull a lead in a room with you in a private room, and let's see what actually transpired. Because I don't want to say, well, hey, let me reach out to my lead separately and see what happened, because then you're gonna like, oh, he's a liar. So,
Hey, that's what Dwight does with me. Like suddenly he calls me, oh, Yuriy, I have such and such client on the line. I'm like, okay, well, thanks for the warning. I'm like, all right, you're putting me on the spot to see how I'm going to react to this person.
Oh yeah, no, that happens all the time with my guys when they're clocking out for the damn job. They're like, oh, hey boss, I'm calling you to clock out. Oh, okay, great. I got the customer right here. Well, goddamn, can I get a chance to get up the screen? Like,
Uh-huh.
And then, my customer, my guy's like, okay. Like, shoot, like, I'm not even on the computer right now. Like, you just calling me out of the blue.
They expect you to be ready to charge the card right there and then.
So, but it is what it is. I feel like you just got to have a sense of humor and make sure the customer know that, hey, you know what? They get that vibe that you and your guys been working together for a while. It just adds to the effect of just dealing with that customer. But yeah, no. So I was gonna say, for those that, like I said, who still have not hit their numbers this year, obviously the year isn't over. Keep pushing, keep driving your sales. If you having sales issues in general, where maybe you don't know how to, motivate more sales to come out of your salesperson, or if you're the one on sales or whatever the case is, I would definitely recommend reaching out to Yuriy. He definitely has a call center of trained sales reps that do this every day. So it's just a matter of, hey, you know what? Don't be prideful. Get help where you need help. But for those that do have a in-house sales team or whatever the case is, enhancement calls, listen to their calls, figure out what that process is from when they get the customer on the phone to when they hang up the phone with them. Figure out what you're expected to hear. Have a checklist. And in our sales program that we offer for training, we do offer a sales checklist for phone calls. So you can go through, hey, did the sales rep mention their name? Did they mention the company name? Did they reconfirm their contact information? Did they offer any upsells, like, storage or packing or whatever the case is? These are little intricate details that you want to be listening to, because some people just hop on the phone and they're just like, oh, well, okay, I'll get your information. All right, got your information. I'm not going to ask if you got any stairs. I'm not going to ask if you got any bulky items. Obviously you told me you called in for moving services, and now I'm going to focus on trying to get you the quote, and I'm gonna get you a quote in 5 minutes, so you don't have to wait. And it's just like, you didn't sell the picture to them, you didn't sell your service to them, you really just gave them a number, and they're gonna run off that number. And if I've seen this a lot in Florida, I called in, I had an inventory list made up. I said, I'm going to mystery shop these guys so I can figure out if my prices are competitive. And most of them just told me, hey, we got a 2-hour minimum. We can send you 2 guys. And without fuel surcharge, you're going to be looking at $300 or whatever the case is, $400. Oh, okay. Damn, you didn't even ask me for inventory. And you gave me this quote while you was on the truck, because I knew you was on the truck. I could hear you on the truck. So, and Okay. They didn't say, oh, well, what do you think? Or I'll follow up with you. They didn't say any of that.
See, that's the big difference between us and other places that obviously our clients are competing with. First of all, my focus is to bring professional sales into the moving industry. Coming from my call center background and sales background that was way before I got into moving, right? So I take that as basis, and it's been working great for me. But one of the things we actually do, and we want our new people to do, is we want them to spend an hour at some point and call companies in this area, in the area that they're focused on, or the company that they're working in, and pretend that they're looking to move, to hear what the other salespeople are saying. And 9 out of 10 of them come away with saying, hey, what you guys teach here is a lot more focused. These guys are horrible. They don't get my inventory. They don't have initiative. They don't follow up. It's 3 days later. Nobody still called me about this, nothing, and yes, some of the guys are on the truck and we get that. But honestly, guys, owners that you're still on the truck, you need to delegate. You need to grow. You can't do everything. Sooner or later, you need to take that step where somebody needs to handle your dispatching. Somebody separate other than you needs to be on the truck. Somebody needs to do the calls for you, because, honestly, they're not going to take you seriously if they hear that you're on the truck. On one side, it may sound, that's a moving company. On the other side, it's going to say, this guy's on the truck. What kind of outfit is he running that he has to drive the truck? He must be a very small company. And if it's a big job, they may actually choose to go opposite way by hearing the truck in the background, because they're going to think that your company must be so small. And let's say it's a 2-truck, 3-truck, 4-truck move, right? They're going to walk away from you and choose a place that has a call center where you can hear a bunch of reps in the background or something. You know what I mean? Versus a truck. They'll make that assumption that you're much smaller. Even though you may have 6 trucks, you just had to jump out last second to help out because one of your guys didn't show up, for example. That may be the situation, but they don't know that. Assumptions are everything in that particular case. But yeah, I agree with what Dwight is saying in terms of obtaining all the information. The only thing that I would say, so I have never been a big script guy. To me, script is more of a guideline, because in our industry, in this industry, in moving, it's all about sounding like a real person and not sounding like a robot. These people don't want to talk to a telemarketer. They don't want to talk to somebody that's just firing out a bunch of questions that they can tell that's filling out a list, right? So to me, all those things, all that information that you're talking about, yeah, you need to obtain it, absolutely. But in what order you obtain it during the call, that to me does not matter. To me, the parameters of the information that you need to get, they stay the same. That does not change. But for me, for example, right, the way that I've always been successful, and granted, for the longest time before I opened up the company, if you would have asked me about sales, I would have told you, I hate sales, but I'm very, very good at it, and it's earning me money. I can't say that today. I love sales and I love doing what I'm doing. It's great. I do very, very much like what I'm doing. But back then, that's what I would say. So my thing was always about getting to the next person, right? So if you ever heard my call, if I was talking to a client, okay, and I still do occasionally, once in a blue moon, I still book jobs. But I'm also somebody that if I didn't have to worry about business related stuff, if all I had to do was call, I could book 200K in sales every single month consistently without breaking a sweat, but to me, it was always quick. So Dwight, you filled out information online. You're looking for a moving company, correct? Okay, great. I need, do you have time to go over what you're moving? That way I can be a lot more accurate with a quote. Sure. Yes. Ding, ding, ding. I get all the information, all the bedrooms, all the whatever. Get all the information. Okay, sir. So based on the information you provided, I'm estimating this many hours. It's this much per hour. This is your estimate. Now, we are a licensed company. We do this. We do that. We're all about process. These are professional movers. Our ratings, reviews, blah, blah, blah. They speak for themselves. Are you ready to schedule your move? Just like that. And then if they say yes, then I verify all the other stuff besides the initial city to city. Then I update the addresses if I don't have them. That I do all that already as part of the booking.
Yeah.
If I have to adjust something, because I mean, at that point, I already know if it's a house, if it's an apartment, if it's a storage, and I already have that information at that point. I may not have the exact address, but at that point, that exact address, like I can always update that when I'm doing the booking. That's for me personally, right?
Yeah.
And so I do all the schmoozing in the end. But then again, I'm somebody that I can get through a 17,000 pound inventory in 15 minutes and not miss anything.
No, that definitely takes, I think that definitely is a skill for a lot of salespeople, is to, like I said, take down that inventory. I think we talked about last week, where it's like taking down that inventory, that long inventory that somebody's going to get. But I think what has been working for me versus a customer, you know, I tell a customer right off the rip, hey, we're going to take your inventory. And then they just start spitting out items. I'm like, oh, wait, one.
Yeah, you want to guide them 100%. And I do. I always do.
You know, let's start in your master bedroom. Okay, we have to go through the bedrooms. We're going to go, hey, is there anything in the hallway? Because I know you pass by every time you go downstairs. What's in your hallway? And then, you know, basically we
I like
go
the hallway
downstairs.
question. That's good.
You know, and basically I try to go room by room, because then that gives me time to separate it out. And then now, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm going to give you this list of items or whatever the case is. Now, again, catch 22 is, oh, well, they didn't move this item. They didn't move this item. They didn't move this item. And it's just like, we don't charge by the item. We charge by the volumes. So as long as the guys pack the truck tight and high, you know, you just had a little bit more stuff than you had. So that's why Live Switch has been helpful, you know, because hey, after first one to two bedrooms, if they got 3 bedrooms plus garage, back patio, all this other stuff, okay, hey, we went through your inventory, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a link so you can record your home, and I could just match that up with what you informed me about to make sure that we did a proper audit of what you actually have. You know, you at that point, you just hope that your cubic feet is correct in your CRM, and that is going to give you an accurate weight, so that basically you could properly get the right amount of trucks. And that's been its own issue.
Right now, but what I think part of that whole thing. So whenever I do an inventory, my biggest recommendation would be is, first of all, and I tell this, I usually wait for, like, I usually tell that to the new people too. I don't care if they tell you that they have small boxes, medium boxes, put medium, large, put large every time, because that's going to create a little bit of a cushion for you in case they have more or whatever the case may be. Same goes if you have options for certain pieces in your inventory that are bigger, for example, go with that. Go with the bigger piece, because once again, you're creating a cushion for yourself. So yeah, you might price it a little bit higher in the end, right? But that way you have room to operate. So what would a client prefer? A client prefer to get a quote, book for a job. If you overestimate it, they're going to be happy as a clam, because their price in the end is going to be less than what you estimated, right? So they're going to be very happy, and they're going to leave a great review for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if the move ends up being, let's say, 30 minutes, an hour longer, most clients, unless of course they have a tiny move that's a studio or something like that, most of them are going to be like, okay, you know, most people are not going to complain over 30 minutes an hour. Most people won't, because they realize that moving takes time, and as long as you guys are not taking excessive breaks, or they're not taking hour lunch that they're trying to charge the client for and stuff like that, most people understand this. Most people will not give you too much of a hard time with that specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
But and one thing is an hour, another thing is 3. They're going to complain. 100%. From 2 hours and up, you will have more issues. If it's especially if there's nothing really that changed much with the inventory.
Yeah,
because in some cases you do have people that are very methodical, and they actually do provide an accurate inventory. Not everybody, but there are people.
What's your thoughts on that? Where it's like, okay, now again, I know that you don't go out in the field, but because you do book a lot of moves
before.
Oh, nice. Okay. So what's your thoughts on that where it comes down to like, okay, the estimate was supposed to be for 3 hour minimum, but ended up being a 6 hour job. Now the customer's paying double the amount. And like, is there a process where you would recommend the owners to like maybe reach out at a certain point to see what's taking so long or,
So so this is what I think, and this has always been my pet peeve, and I might have mentioned this before. But my thing is this, and this goes whether no matter if you have just the one job that day or if you have more than one, that becomes even more important. But this is what I feel needs to happen. When you guys get to the job, they walk in, they can already tell. The good foreman that does this every day can tell that there's more stuff immediately, that there's more stuff and that the move is going to take more time. The moment they walk into that house, they can tell, because guess what? On the way to that job, they're looking at the inventory that they had and they're thinking, oh, we should be done by 3. We're going to go get a beer. We're going to do this. We're going to do that afterwards, right? They're already making plans about what they're going to do after the job, right? You guys know they do this. You've done it, right? But when they get there and they see that there's so much more stuff and their whole plans just went down the tubes, they know. Okay. So that's the point at which you, the owner, or us, the salespeople that booked the job, or preferably both, should know at that point at 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. We should have a message. We should have something from them letting us know that it's a much bigger job. Even if they explain it to the customer and the customer is gang-ho about it and he gets it, she gets it, there's no problem. They say, no problem, we're going to pay for it. It's all good, we get it. Even if they say that to your foreman, we should still know at 9, 8, 9, 10 in the morning, not at 3.
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
That happens all the time. But those are little things. Those are little things that you need to, especially guys that are listening, if you're a new company, this should be part of your policy and your systems from day one. It's much harder to instill this and get movers to do this if they've been used to doing it without that for the past 2-3 years. Trying to get them to do something new, you're always going to face a lashback of some sort, But here's the point. We find out that early that that job is going to be a lot bigger. If we don't have another job, the salesperson picks up the phone. He calls the customer, says, hey, I just talked to the foreman. They let me know that you guys have a lot more stuff. They told me that they told you, and they told you it's going to take more time, and you said that this was fine. So I wanted to once again reiterate that, yes, it looks like it's going to take quite a bit longer. We're not sure how much yet. And I just wanted to make sure that you understood what would happen next, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Yes.
What does this do? This sets up the customer to understand that they need to pay for the extra packing, to understand that they have to pay for the extra hours, to have an expectation that when they're going to be presented with that bill, that it's going to be more, and it gives them time to process it, to go, yeah, I get it, and then when it comes time to pay the bill, you're not going to be faced with an issue with your mover sitting there and you arguing or negotiating with the customer for a freaking hour while you're paying them to sit there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh. So that's one thing. The other thing, if there's a second job, that takes on even more of an importance, because we get that call from you guys in the morning, right? We call the first customer, we do the same song and dance that I just said, right? Then we call the second customer and we tell them, hey, your arrival is not till 1 and 3, but the guys just got to the first job. It's a lot bigger. Realistically, we're probably not going to get to like 3 to 5. And this is just a rough estimate at this point because we haven't got to the destination yet. So we don't know what's going on the other end just yet and how long that may or may not take. So now you have to take advantage of that. You explain that whole situation and you're giving that second person options. There's nothing worse than getting us here in the sales department, right? Your sales department, your office, getting that call at 3 o'clock and going, hey, it's 3 o'clock. Your arrival was supposed to be between 1 and 3. I haven't heard anything from anybody. And then first of all, you feel like an ass because you, the office, you don't know anything about what's going on. And the customer now knows that you don't know anything that's going on. So whatever confidence they had in you prior to this just went through the floor, because now they're like, okay, they're not controlling their people. Okay, there's issues. It's like, it's a psychological thing. It's already happening the moment they realize that you don't know anything about this, right? And that's going to sound, you're going to be like, what? And so next thing you do, you call you guys, and the guys tell you, yeah, the job is a lot bigger. We're not going to get there till like 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Something that you should have
Hey guys,
known.
real quick, I got to take off. Appreciate you. Audience, appreciate you. Yuriy, love the stories. All right,
no
guys.
problem.
All right,
have a good one.
We'll talk
care,
again.
Guys.
Thank you.
Well, we are at the top of the hour. Yuriy, we got to spread some of these gems over another week or so. But, everybody, go out, enjoy your day, go crush it the rest of this week, crush it the rest of this month. It starts now. It should have started 2 days ago. But, definitely continue to focus on your sales, because no matter what else you focus on in your business, if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. So, just keep focusing. If you need extra sales help, reach out to Yuriy Margolin at Moving Sales Professionals with an S. And yeah, we'll see you next week. All right, y'all.
Communication. That's how I end that whole story.
All right.